That's always been my MO, is I treat every film that Blue Underground releases as though it's someone's favorite movie of all time. And I'm going to deliver to them the absolute best presentation I can. May not always be the best presentation because of the limitation of the elements, but I will do my very, very best to deliver everything.
So that's basically a mission statement?
Oh, that's always been even when I was making movies. Like when I made Maniac, my feeling when I did Maniac was, hey, if everybody expects there to be a couple of gore scenes, I'm gonna double it up. I'm gonna give everybody an extra helping. You know? If I had a restaurant, I'd be giving huge portions.
Hey everybody, this is Mike from the Real Black Podcast, and with us today we have the honor and privilege of being with the great Bill Lustig. If you don't know this man's name, but look, for a physical media collector like myself
and me,
you're like the godfather of the entire boutique video label industry. You started out at Anchor Bay. Well, before that, you started making your own films, but then somehow you started releasing the classics, the movies that are not necessarily considered part of the canon of work, but deserve the respect that us film lovers know and appreciate. And we love you for that. You are truly the godfather of the physical boutique Blu-ray media label. None of this would happen without you. And you're on today on the Real Black Podcast.
I always thought of myself as being a proactive collector.
Right.
Because I wasn't doing it as some commercial venture, but just acquiring films that I had seen and I love, and wanting to own them and treating them with respect. You know, proper transfers, all the rest of the stuff. So, yeah, that's how I kind of did it.
Right. So April 23rd is the release of this bad boy, the latest.
Yes.
Greatest. Goodbye, Uncle Tom.
Did you guys watch it?
Yeah.
I've seen the film, yes.
See it. Now, I mean, I still have my
wow. Is it still intact? Is the plastic still intact?
It got this was in good shape. I have a second copy that got a little dinked, but this is number 2922.
Wow.
So it's a low number. And I'm just, you know, I can't get rid of it yet because there's so many other movies in it.
Yeah.
But Goodbye Tom is by far my favorite out of all the Mondo movies. And I'm so excited that it's getting a 4K transfer. It's coming out on April 23rd, 2024. Now, for one pressing only, limited edition.
So
if you're watching this now, you need to pre-order it.
Yeah, exactly. And so you get the whole package. After that, we'll break them apart, and the soundtrack goes bye-bye.
Ah, okay. All right. So if you want the package and you want the soundtrack, you got to get this now. Bill Lustig, welcome to the Real Black Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So, I mean, for those who don't know, you know, tell us about Goodbye Uncle Tom.
I was introduced to Goodbye Uncle Tom at the time we did that Mondo box set. I was originally putting it together with the famous Mondo, and as I was going along, I felt we got to put together definitive Jacopetti Prosperi box set. You know, just make it complete. Yeah. So I was introduced to Goodbye Uncle Tom. And what grabbed me was that Goodbye Uncle Tom, being as rough as it is to watch, it's also incredibly well made.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful movie. And when I got to know Jaco Petty in Prosperi, when we did The Godfather of Mondo, I don't know if you guys saw it, the documentary, I realized that these guys were not exploitation filmmakers, but were sincerely making a movie to show the world the atrocities of slaves in America, and in slavery, the whole bit. And I found them fascinating, and then watching the movie, the skillfulness of the filmmaking and everything, it just is remarkable. It's I don't know, I can't think of another movie that is like, you may hate Godfathers. I say Godfather's a Mondo. Goodbye, Uncle Tom. You may hate it, okay? But you can't deny it's a powerful movie. And, and it's extremely well made.
No, I first heard about the movie when I worked at Video Library in Philadelphia. There was a gentleman, we had a black film collection that I curated, and we were trying to find all kinds of movies. And when people got word that we had black film collection, folks start coming in and requesting things. And this is in the VHS days. This is pre-DVD, like mid to late 90s, right? And a gentleman would come in and he said, "You got this movie, Goodbye, Uncle Tom?" I was like, "I don't know. I've never heard of this thing," right? He says, he said it played for 1 week and then it was gone. Can you get it on video? So it wasn't in the Malton Guide. So, and at that point, there was no internet or anything like that. There was no way to track down whether this movie really existed or was a figment of one's imagination. Eventually found a Turkish VHS transfer from Video Search of Miami.
Right. I was going to say Video Search of Miami was my go-to as well.
It was so grainy and beat up. But I swear to you, watch your mic, VQ. I swear to you, we had 100 rentals on this thing the first year. So
I believe
people were like, they couldn't wait for it. And it was Greek subtitles and all that other stuff. So obviously when Blue Underground released the Blu Ray and the very first pressing was only available in the box set, I had to save my paper route money and get that one. And it's become, I mean, it's much more available now, but it still doesn't lose any of its impact in 2024. I still feel like there's nothing more to me. It's probably the most realistic depiction of the slave trade that's ever been recorded on film.
I kind of think so. These guys did their homework. These were not schlockmeisters. They really did their homework.
Right.
Now, how did you feel? Were you angry at the movie, or just angry at what was depicted in the movie?
Good question. BQ, do you have a take on that? A hot take?
Well, before I give you that, let me just tell you my introduction on how I found out about the movie. Two of your guys, Mr. Lustig. First one was Bill. Okay, the director of Drive, because he had put the song. Nick. He had put the song in the song with the I can't think of it, in that film. And then another one of your guys is through Quentin Tarantino, him praising the film or talking about it. So I'm like, okay, if two of these guys are talking about it, I have to find it. And I did find a copy. I watched it, and I couldn't believe my eyes what I was seeing. This movie, I thought it was so brutal that I think I had to I stopped it for a while and had to take a walk and, get my mind together, then come back. I couldn't just sit and watch this in one sitting because it's nothing like Roots at all. It's like you said, it's brutal. And I was talking to Mike before we got on. One of the things that's so brutal about the film, movies in the United States that depict slavery, 9 times out of 10, the audience can separate itself from what's going on the screen. So you could look at it and say, oh, well, Chiwetel is a great actor, or Brad Pitt's a good actor. I'm talking about 12 Years a Slave, for example.
Yeah.
Oh, the production is great. The cinematography is great. Goodbye Uncle Tom, you don't have that luxury. It's raw. You don't have the actor, the fine production. It's an ugly film, right? And so that's one of the things that I took away from it. It's not a fun sit movie. But you have to see it. If you're Black and you live in the United States, it's imperative that you see it at least one time in your life.
I got to tell you something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to play Goodbye Uncle Tom in independent cinemas across the country, as we have done many times with our releases. The Alamo Draft House, Nighthawk, all these, independent cinemas. And even the American Cinematheque in LA. We went to the American Cinematheque. Every single one of them expressed concerns about playing the movie. And every single one of them were white guys who were the gatekeepers to these places.
Right.
There's such, maybe it's a guilt, I don't know. But they were frightened to play the picture. And I kept, I didn't know what to say, because over the years, I met several Black people who watched the film and were like praising it and saying, God, this movie is the real deal. This is the real deal movie.
Right.
These people are afraid to show the film. And I got a feeling we're also going to have retailers that are not going to carry the movie. There may even be a situation, I hope it doesn't happen, but there could be a situation where a soccer mom contacts Amazon. Why did you sell this movie to my kid?
Right.
This movie is, and Amazon doesn't care. They'll pull it, I hope that doesn't happen, and I pray it doesn't happen. But this movie is so controversial. But it seems to be, the controversy seems to be among white people. And that's what's so strange about it.
Well, it was rough. I mean, my take, I'm going to unbox this while we're here because the glare is getting to me. And, I just want to...
That means you didn't watch it.
No, I got to check this.
Okay. Jeez.
No, I'm going to order one, too.
I busted you.
No, I'm going to order one as well. Because I love this movie.
We'll get you. We'll get it to you. We'll get it to you.
So you got the book, you got the discs. There's two different versions of the film. Can you see that? Like, literally, they're different movies.
Well,
the Italian version and the American version.
What happened was, the filmmakers' first avenue of release was in Italy. And when they released the film in Italy, they were concerned because they were feeling as though they were getting backlash, as though this was an exploitation film. And they really did not want that to be the case. So because then in that Italian version, it had a lot of footage of what was happening in America, Martin Luther King, that whole thing. And so they went back in and they removed a lot of the contemporary context for their film and focused primarily on the slavery aspect of the film.
I hadn't seen the Italian version in quite some time. I didn't realize. I mean, this is decades since I'd seen the Italian version. Baba Dick Gregory shows up in that film. We have a big relationship with Dick Gregory. A lot of his fans watch our channel because of interviews we did with him. For people who are big, diehard Dick Gregory fans,
I remember when he ran for president.
Yeah.
Dick Gregory, primo presidente negro degli Stati Uniti.
Upon its release in 1972, Roger Ebert wrote that they've finally done it. They've made the most disgusting, contemptuous insult to decency ever to masquerade as a documentary. Now personally, while a lot of the movie is over the top, their moral questions in ethics. That's what I would say. When I watched it the first time, I was like, how do you get so many Black people or people of color to agree to be treated this way in a motion picture? You know, so dehumanizing. You know, and that it throws off your fiber when, especially if you're used to seeing Roots. You know.
Well, did you watch the extras?
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Well, the documentaries. Well, I didn't have the extras when I first saw it.
Oh,
I give you a great deal of credit, you know, for making the Godfathers of Mondo documentary and explaining, you know, how and where it was filmed. So
there's an interview with a British professor, that's really quite fascinating. That you should. I don't know if you watched it or not, but he talked about that, you know, about, you know, the depiction of what was going on and how abusive it must have been to these people.
Yeah, without question, you know, and well, spoiler alert. I mean, it was because it was shot. It wasn't shot in the United States. It was filmed in Haiti.
Yeah,
and those extras were mandated to be there by Papa Doc Duvalier.
Yeah,
you know,
and he ran the country.
Yeah, so that explains it. I'll put it that way.
And here was the trade-off: the filmmakers had to have dinner with him every Friday to keep his support of the film. Well, at least that's what they thought. You know, that he wanted to meet with them on Fridays and have dinner with them and feel like he was part of the filmmaking process.
No, I'm so thankful to you for making that documentary and getting the Blu Ray, the DVDs out, and now the Blu Ray before these gentlemen passed on. I think it's so important to preserving culture and history to do these documentaries and things like that.
I agree. I think the interviews with Prosperi and Jacopetti are priceless interviews.
So, you know, I was surprised when I got the call that there was going to be a 4K of this release.
Yeah,
because I've seen you do a lot of interviews where you talk about negatives being destroyed during Hurricane Sandy. I just assumed that this was because it hadn't come out yet, that this was one of the movies that got lost in the hurricane. Yeah. Can you talk about the restoration of this?
Well, the negatives for this were in Italy.
Okay.
We weren't in the States. We did the work on this. We did the scans, the 4K scans in Italy, and finished them in Los Angeles. The color correction and restoration were done in Los Angeles. And this was a major undertaking because the lab that did the work screwed up big time. And what happened was, when I told them there were two versions of Goodbye Uncle Tom, there's the Italian and there's the English. And the English is shorter than the Italian. So from their perspective, they thought if they scanned the Italian negative, that the English would be an extraction from the Italian, not realizing that although it was shorter, scenes were changed around and everything. So it was a shit show, to say the least, with the Italians. And there's some people I'm not talking to anymore over there. But it was a major undertaking, and there was a lot of restoration involved. There was, it was a. I hate to say how much I invested, but I invested a lot of money in this project overall because of the cost.
So, I mean, how many years does it take for you to get this together?
Honestly, 3 years it took. From the time that I started it to its release has been just over 3 years.
Okay.
Crazy.
All right. So after this investment, I mean, are there going to be more Mondo movies released in Blu-ray?
I don't think so, because I don't think any of the other Mondo films have the power of Goodbye Uncle Tom. They're interesting curios, but they don't have Uncle Tom's power, the Goodbye Uncle Tom power. And from my perspective, they're not as interesting. Right. I mean, where Mondo Cane was a revelation when it was released in 1960 or whatever, today it's like, well, I see more on the Discovery Channel.
YouTube.
Is it still out? Are you still putting it out though in DVD, or is it?
Oh, the Mondo Cane, we still have it out on DVD. We don't have the box sets are sold out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just didn't want to leave you wide open. If you're saying I'm not going to do the Blu-ray,
I'm not doing the Blu-rays.
Okay.
Yeah.
VQ, you got anything before we move on? I mean, I feel like, we covered it. I mean, as far as Goodbye Uncle Tom, I just want everybody to know that it's coming out on 4K on April 24th. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, Mike didn't tell us, Vashawn didn't let us know. This classic, this movie that I first discovered as a fuzzy substandard 320p is now in 2160 HD. And it looks so crystal clear, and it's got the soundtrack. It's so beautiful. I wish every movie could get this kind of treatment, but we're so lucky.
That's how we do it. That's always been my MO, is I treat every film that Blue Underground releases as though it's someone's favorite movie of all time. And I'm going to deliver to them the absolute best presentation I can. May not always be the best presentation because of the limitation of the elements, but I will do my very, very best to deliver everything.